on, Scott. You just said something that's not correct.
What?
You tried to slip it in there. You said at the order of the president. That is completely false.
He did not appoint the prosecutor?
It is completely false that Joe Biden ordered the creation of someone to investigate Donald Trump. That did not happen.
No. What do you? I mean,
you just said that, and that didn't happen.
They had a special prosecutor under the Biden administration that went after Donald Trump. They did not.
Under the order of the president.
All these things are in the executive branch.
I get that.
This is my argument.
I get the
it is an executive branch,
Scott,
and the president's at the top of it.
You have no evidence that Joe Biden ordered the investigation.
He said on the record multiple times that Donald Trump should have been thrown in jail, and said that Merrick Garland failed by not doing it.
If Ashley's point is correct, that you think that it's just fine for the President of the United States to order whatever investigation he wants, what's wrong with that?
I think I am making a simple personnel argument.
No, what's wrong with it?
The Justice Department exists in the executive branch, and it exists under the president. It is not an independent agency.
If that is the case, then what would be wrong with Joe Biden if that's the case? What would be wrong with Joe Biden saying, I'm going to order the Justice Department to go after my political enemies? Wouldn't there be nothing wrong with that, by your logic?
Well, I don't think that there's any problem with the president as the head of the executive branch telling the Justice Department, I think things need to be investigated
that
here.
is quite,
but it's up to them. It's up to them to decide whether laws were broken.
So, as you saw from the intro, Trump decided to fire 17 inspector generals in a sunny fire night purge. Trump is out here firing officials and taking names. You saw in the intro that Phillips here is just being her again. You know, she's here trying to defend essentially prosecutions of Donald Trump. And the funny part is, here's what we got. This is why we hate the media, right? You got ABC, CBS, NBC spent over 46 minutes covering Trump's January 6 pardons and only 3 minutes of Biden pardoning his family. This is who they want. They want the attention all to be on Trump, right? They want to obsess over what Trump does, but they don't have that same level of scrutiny for their side.
Everything, by your logic, if you apply it to the last administration, which I don't think is the case, then if Joe Biden wanted to go after Donald Trump because he wanted to go, the Attorney General should be able to do it, and there's no.
They did go after Donald Trump because Joe Biden didn't want to do it.
He had a special prosecutor. He had
But at the order.
But then
of the
why
president.
is it wrong?
Right. And this is why a lot of people don't trust the government, and they see it as political. And this is why I bring up the point with Trump firing the 17 inspector generals, and then Abby Phillips is here trying to make a failed attempt at trying to debate the fact that, Donald Trump can't just prosecute people. The president just can't prosecute people because Scott Jennings made an assertion without evidence. While Abby Phillips saying, you're saying something that's not true because you lack evidence to prove what you're saying is true. And I'm looking at there, I'm like, Abby Phillips, you don't have evidence to suggest what Scott Jennings' framing is false. This is my problem with these fake fact checks. Fact checking is you actually have to find a fact that either validates your assertion or invalidates someone's assertion. That's a fact check. Anything other than that is just your opinion, Abby Phillips. And this is something that the media, they want to pretend that they're held to such a higher standards than people like me who talk online. But then when I judge them on the standards, they don't meet it. How are you going to say someone's statement is false without any evidence to prove their statement is false? That's illogical to me. It's feelings, speaking with her feelings. Yes, that's what it is. I want to react to this information that I found out a couple days ago. Fauci, the CIA, and the corrupt corporate news media and everyone in between lied to you about the origins of COVID. The U.S. government actually paid for it to be invented. That's part of why Fauci needed to be pardoned. What's more amazing how so many people don't care about the entire thing. CIA now favors lab leak theory to explain COVID's origins. Remember this? Remember when these people were sitting there lecturing to you in your face that the COVID virus did not come from a lab in Wuhan? The CIA now says that its intel showed that the COVID virus escaped from a lab in Wuhan. What it didn't say is that the CIA under Biden broke the law in not releasing its analysis. If it wasn't for the election of Donald Trump, the truth might have not came out. CIA said COVID likely originated from a lab. Imagine that. The president of the United States in 2020, President Donald Trump said, oh yeah, it's a lab leak from Wuhan. And the media said he was lying. It was a conspiracy theory. He's pushing more. This is why they don't want Tulsi Gabbard to be director of national intelligence. because the intelligence agency was the one that conducted this analysis, and they did not want to release it. Why? Because they would validate Donald Trump. But you hear have Abby Phillips and them trying to defend these watchdogs and the fact that Donald Trump fired them. Oh, you can't fire the guy that prosecute you. Hell yeah, I can if I'm his boss. But I digress. I want you guys to get a little clip it of more of the conversation with the rest of the panel about the fact that Donald Trump is firing officials from the DOJ. Let's take a look.
Of Justice does not work for the president.
Yes,
the
it does.
Department of Justice works for the American people.
No, it works for the executive branch. It's in the
Justice,
Constitution. It exists in the executive branch.
The lawyers of the Justice Department work for the American people.
You're acting like it's an independent branch of government. It's in the executive branch, run by the president.
So you don't think there should be a
the lawyers
firewall?
of the Justice Department work for the American people, not for the president of the United States, not the person in the office.
So you don't
They
think
work for the
anyone
office,
you don't
not the
think anyone in
person
the
office.
executive branch is bound to the head of the executive branch?
No. Here's the difference. Here's the difference.
It's so funny, right? The reason why I bring up the lab leak theory is the fact that Donald Trump said this stuff. They say he lied about it, right? Trump has a suspicion that, the Biden stick the DOJ on me. Then you have all these guys working like clockwork to push back on it when essentially we can look back into the past and see your track record. When Donald Trump brought up the lab leak theory, and everyone says, yeah, that sounds plausible. Yeah, it looks like gain of function research. Fauci lied about all this stuff, but who did not the Democrats. Who did the corporate media defend it? Whose side, who narrative, what angle did the corporate media take? They took Fauci's with no evidence to suggest that what Fauci is saying is true. But they're talking about they want us to trust them with our faith. So what? So you can run amok with it? And this is the problem I have with these people that talks on these panelists, that they use their position to just push a worldview. The left's vision is not only a vision of the world, but also a vision of themselves as superior beings pursuing superior ends. In the United States, however, this vision conflicts with the Constitution that begins with "we the people." And she tried to make this argument that, oh my God, they serve the American people. They serve the American people. So the president doesn't serve the American people? That's like you going to the corporation and says, I serve our customers. I don't serve you, manager. I serve the customers. You're going to get fired real quick. Okay? End of the day, both of you guys serve the customers, but he has leadership. You're in the execution. President Trump's the executive. He's the leader of the executive branch. The American people elected him. The American people did not elect these lawyers. These lawyers are hired by elected officials. And if the elected official hired them, an elected official should be able to fire them. That's the point she's missing. I don't understand, man. Do they not teach logical thinking anymore? Do they not teach cause and effect anymore? Like, what the hell is going on in our country? We got people. This is what I'm talking about. Here, I'm giving you another example because I'm not done with her yet. I need to make an example out of this. I'm not done with her yet. Look. She's going to make an argument that is pure, like it's easily provable and disprovable. Here, let's listen. I'm done talking. Let's listen.
Because you're right, the numbers were already down historically. They were less when Joe Biden was in office than when Trump was in office. So it's really all for show right now.
There's a couple things that have been said that I think are inaccurate or out of context.
No, she lied. That's what she said. That's what she said. She lied, right? And this is what I'm tired of, too. I'm tired of the coddling. When Democrats lie, I think you're inaccurate. I think you misspoke. They don't give Republicans that grace. You just saw the intro of this video. Abby Phillips came for Scott Jennings' neck. Oh, you can't make that assertion. You just lied. You can't make the assertion that Joe Biden told his DOJ to prosecute Donald Trump. Scott Jennings is like, well, that's a reasonable assumption to have. He's an executive. He's the president. This department's in the executive office. That's high probability he did that. And I believe he did. And you believe he did, Abby Phillips. But me and you don't got evidence. So we're both making assertions here. We're both making assumptions here. But if we go on the balance of probabilities, there's a high probability that I'm more right than you are, Abby Phillips. That's essentially what Scott Jennings' point was. And Abby Phillips made this fake debate over nothing. Because she didn't have any evidence to suggest it was false. Like, make it make sense. But this is who we're supposed to trust on TV, and they wonder why their ratings are in the toilet right now.
One of which is the idea that it was just as good under Biden. That is patently false. Biden belatedly, at the end of his presidency, did some things through executive actions that the last 6 months made the numbers look better.
I didn't say it was just as good. I didn't say it was just as good under Biden.
I said the numbers were lower under Biden.
You said
when Biden left than when Trump was in office, and that is a fact.
No, over four year to 4 year. 4 year to 4 year.
When Biden left,
4 year to 4 year. Who had a better record?
When
the New York
Biden
Times.
left,
Hold on,
Maria,
hold on. I want the governor.
The New York Times, which is no conservative publication, did investigative reporting not long ago that looked at the Biden administration and concluded that the number of illegal immigrants that President Biden led into this country was the largest number of illegal immigrants in the history of the country, bar none. New York Times.
where this lady in the panel get this idea that Joe Biden had the lowest numbers ever. Where you get this idea? Where? Your mind? Your imagination? This is why I said liberals got a strong imagination. They don't live in reality. People see in reality, liberals see their imagination. Their imagination of what they think reality should be. And this is the problem. They think they can just will things into existence. No, you can't. Some things are unwillable, and this one is not one of them.
Beyond that, this point about Scott just raised, the American people are fed up with illegal immigration, and they're particularly fed up with people who are criminals and also fugitives from the law. Tom Homan may get to the point where he's in schools or hospitals. We'll see if criminals are hiding there. They're not there yet. And the idea that somehow this is offensive to go after rapists, murderers,
no one's
sex traffickers.
that's offensive,
but
Governor.
now those numbers.
But that's who they're prioritizing, and y'all already making a big hope up over it. Like, ridiculous. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you get conservatives, look, maybe what? I'll say 4-2. 2 conservatives, 4 liberal leading people on the panel. And you got the moderator that likes to interject too. So she's a 4th person. Outnumbering them so you can, outshout them? This is what I'm talking about, the bias of the media. This is why CNN's ratings are in the toilet. This is why they're facing mass layoffs.
No.
This is why Jim Acosta has to leave after 18 years being at CNN. Because he represents the worst aspects of CNN. And now they had to let him go, or they mutually split. Who knows? And y'all think having this kind of commentary with no pushback is acceptable? No, Americans don't got time for this.
Going to ramp up. I'll just make a prediction to you. Trump will increase those numbers well beyond what you saw under Biden. And lastly, there's 1 million plus fugitives beyond the criminals who've already been adjudicated, have already had due process, that are in the United States. So once they get done with the gangbangers, the sex traffickers, the weapons merchants, the other folks who are involved in heinous crimes, then they can get to work on 1.2 million fugitives who've already been adjudicated and get them out of the country. And when they get that all done, maybe we can get around to some of the other ones.
Yep, that's what they're scared about. Right? And the one thing that's one thing I want you to get out of this video is that these people got nothing but narratives. They don't try to give you the truth. They don't try to inform you of the truth. They just want to inform you of a narrative. And that's it. And this is what this story proved. You want to get mad that he fired elected inspector generals. He took credentials from the 51 agents that try to disprove the Hunter Biden laptop story, who smeared the Hunter Biden laptop story as misinformation, Russia disinformation, as Russia election interference. And all the media just gobbled it up and ran with it. No speculations, no, there wasn't speculative of what they were saying, what they were doing. Why y'all came out so quickly against this story? The so-called journalists didn't ask themselves any questions. And you want us to trust them. Yeah, okay. We'll see how that goes, especially with this story coming out. Oh, look, under the Biden administration, they didn't want to release the intelligence agency's analysis about where the origins of COVID came from. It came from a lab in Wuhan. Wow. So Donald Trump was able to find out where it came from before the analysis from these agencies came out. Make it make sense. So people's gut instincts are more accurate than narratives perpetrated by the mainstream media, and you wonder why your ratings are down. Because people feel like, oh, I just got to read the news. Okay, I kind of got an idea what's going on. But to try to control how people think, you want to label them conspiracy theorists. Okay.
So I love accountability, and I want to start here with the original conspiracy theorist. His name was President Donald Trump. I guess I was his co-conspiracy theorist because my very first briefing on May 1st, 2020 was dominated by questions of how this man could possibly think that a lab working on bat coronavirus may be the origin of coronavirus. Let's watch this, Emily.
The president said yesterday that he has a high degree of confidence that the coronavirus originated in a lab in Wuhan, China, and yet his own intelligence agencies say they're still investigating. So does the president have information, and has he drawn...
Imagine that. And you're surprised why Donald Trump won the popular vote? Because people say everything Trump said is right. Like he was proven right. It just took some time for us to realize he was right. Oh, they're going to politically prosecute me. Oh, no one's going to prosecute Donald Trump. 2023, raid his house. Try to take him off ballots. Convict him of a crime. Of fraud claims when no one got defrauded. Make it make sense. That's like being charged with murder without killing anybody. Make it make sense. Oh my God! You see, look at Christian Welker. Oh boy, this is crazy, huh?
A conclusion that the intelligence community has not yet.
Look, the president's statement is consistent with the other intelligence assessments. And I would note that intelligence statement you're referring to really made 2 points. One, that this virus originated in China. Two, that it began through contact with infected animals or was the result of an accident at a laboratory in Wuhan. So I consider that consistent with what the president said, that he's seen intelligence suggesting it could be in the Wuhan laboratory. Emily, this was 5 years ago.
Yes, and I will say your articulate and informed answer at the time, Kayleigh, dovetails perfectly with what Senator Tom Cotton said, which was essentially, I looked at the facts and I used some common sense. I point as well, and we talked about this often at the time, to those multiple cables that were not classified that came from U.S. State Department actors who had visited that lab in Wuhan, drawing the administration's attention to the violations of safety protocol and the violations of health regulations there, and multiple other things that they deemed quite alarming.
An educated guess. Essentially, that's what we all do, right? If you watch the news, that's all we do. We see trends, and then it informs your conclusions about how you think things should happen or would happen, and that's what Trump did. And Trump's have access to more information than we do because he's the president. And he said, yeah, it's probably, it came from China. It came from China. Leaked from a lab in Wuhan. Oh, he's lying. Imagine a news corporation just going out of its way just to try to discredit its president, an elected official, that the constituency that they're supposed to inform. Inform us of what? Inform us of a narrative or inform us of the truth? And based on that flashback I just showed you, based on the conversation that's happening, it don't seem like these news outlets are there to inform you of the truth. It seems a lot of them are trying to inform you of a narrative and try to convince you to believe it. I'll leave it at there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you guys are thinking about the media and how they're screwing this up. What are your thoughts about Trump firing these 17 inspector generals and a lot of these people from the DOJ that prosecute him? Do you think it's justified, unjustified? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Share the video if you feel so inclined, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.